The 2017 legislative session went into overtime, but lawmakers were eventually able to complete work on the next two-year state budget, as well as bills providing tax relief and funding for capital improvements. Joining me in the studio to reflect on the session is Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka. Welcome.
Good to be here.
This week, the legislature filed lawsuit against the governor over his line item veto of legislative funding. What is the best outcome?
Well, my hope is in the end we don't have to go all the way through with it. We don't want to sue the governor, but he can't defund the House and the Senate any more than he could defund the judicial branch. You can't do that. But so far we haven't been able to find a way through that, and so we have to take the next step, and we filed the lawsuit. If we can find an off-ramp, we will, but he wanted us to renegotiate some of the things that we all negotiated, we all agreed to, and he signed off on, and we're not going to do that either.
So what's the best outcome then?
Well, I think if we might be able to find something. We had mentioned let's do the pension bill that we didn't get done. We all thought that was a good idea. Maybe we could have done a special session for that, and then he could have changed the language and funded the House and Senate. But so we need to find something like that, and so I'm open, but if we can't get there, we have to file the lawsuit because July 1, we don't have new money coming into the House or Senate, and the resources we have right now, that would last about a month. And my first priority will be to pay all of our employees, Democrats, Republicans, nonpartisan. They're going to get paid first. But we also have a big building that we're responsible for here, and if we don't make that payment, the state's bond ratings will be impacted. And so there's a lot of consequences here. This is high stakes. We should not be playing this game. It's never happened anywhere else that a governor's defunded the House and Senate. So we think it's important we stand up for the House and Senate, but we'd like to find a way through without going to court.
Many Capitol observers are pointing to your leadership this session as a key reason so much bipartisan work was done. Will you continue to play this sort of peacemaking role that you've had?
Yeah, it's sort of my temperament. I like to build bridges. I'm a better bridge builder than a bomb thrower. And so in the Senate, we had 34, the opposite side had 33, so we had a one-vote majority. It forced somebody like me to rise up, and so it's the perfect time for me. I respect the governor. We don't always agree, but I definitely respect him, and so we talked very candidly about all kinds of issues. That's how I think we got most of the bills to the final finish line. I'll keep doing that. I think the governor will too, and working the House, the Senate, and the governor this time around, we got a lot done. Minnesotans should be proud of all the things we got done.
If you were addressing a group of middle-income Minnesotans, what accomplishments would you underline for this session?
Well, for sure the tax bill, and if you were a senior, we exempted Social Security income for them. If you're a small business or a farmer that's in the middle income, small business got a business property tax relief, ag got an ag property tax relief. And so the tax bill really was aimed at middle America, middle Minnesota, and so that was a really big thing. A lot of people are complaining about our roads and bridges. We got our first ever or biggest ever roads and bridges bill that was done, help people travel, go wherever they want to do. We got real ID for people, so if they want to travel to other states or go other places, they now can get on a plane and don't have to worry about that. So pretty much everywhere you looked, we did something good for them. And probably the last one was if you have health insurance and you were paying the premiums and rates were going up 67%, we actually provided relief for them as well. So a lot of different things were done for them that I think that they will greatly appreciate.
And what about for college students? What can they look forward to?
So the two things that the students got is, number one, as they acquire student loans, they're going to be able to get a $500 per year credit on their student loans, which is a big, big thing when you're having to pay those back. And then higher ed, we increased the funding for higher education, but we also made them hold the line on what the tuition is going to be in the future. So both ways, we did some really good things for them.
When the session began, your caucus moved up the deadlines in order to bring transparency to the process. In the end, a lot was done behind closed doors, and those budget bills were getting to the floor without a lot of time for everybody to read them. So in the future, what more can be done so that Minnesotans have the transparency in the process that they're looking for?
Well, first of all, this is the first year I was majority leader, and I wish the end hadn't been so hectic. It's hard to explain, but when you're 34, 33, it's really difficult. And we had two senators who had a parent die, so we had to, any of those days we couldn't do any work because we only had 33 when they were gone. We had another senator that was sick, had a heart attack, and had stints and had to come vote 2 days later. So all of that made it difficult. But the key thing that I advocated from the very beginning is that we have targets early. The targets are what does the House, Senate, and Governor agree we're going to spend in each area? And we couldn't get those until, I believe, the Friday before the final session at the end of Monday night. We needed those 2 weeks ahead of time. That was what we were advocating for, and I still will, because then you have all that time to negotiate, 2 weeks of time instead of just a few days.
Governor Dayton expressed concern, in particular with the tax bill, that it will jeopardize the state's fiscal health into the future. Are you confident that the state can afford the size of the tax bill?
Yeah, so it was the biggest tax bill in 18 years. But what I would say is when you look at how much was actually tax relief, it was a little over 400 million, under 500, over 400. And we figured that in the next 4 years, that would be about $1 billion of actual revenue decrease, tax relief. Spending in the next 4 years will go up $6 billion. So I've made the case that it's not about the tax relief we gave. If we have a problem with our budgets in the future, it will be because spending continues to increase at rates that are hard to control. HHS is growing at a rate of 20%, but overall it was growing 9%. So the small tax relief we gave compared to the spending increases that's the issue. It's not the tax relief, it's spending. And so that's my case. I thought we should give some back, so we gave it to seniors, farmers, small business owners, we gave it to students and others, but it wasn't a huge number.
Well, speaking of health and human services, that area of the state budget is expected to continue to grow into the future, and funding generally falls below the demand. So if this is a trend for the future, how, as a state, can that be managed?
Well, without a doubt, this will be the most complex area that we have to deal with. I mentioned it's growing 20%. We can't sustain that, and yet we have an age wave coming that the costs are only going to go up. And so add to that the federal government is likely going to cut $1 billion or more from Minnesota's money we get from the feds, and we have a real problem. And so a couple of things. One, I've set up a subcommittee with Senator Jensen and Senator Klein. They're both doctors. I said, what are some of the things that are truly driving up costs in Minnesota? I'd rather people that are actually in it day in and day out to begin to explore where can we save money, but also how we deliver care to people that require MA or any of the different programs that we administer. Do we need to do them different? And I was out in DC last week and had a chance to visit with Secretary Price, HHS Secretary, and he said he wants states to reform, he wants states to lead the way, and that they will give waivers much easier for states to improvise and try new things. And so it's going to be a big deal. I've told the governor I think this is the biggest thing we're going to have to work on next year and probably the year after and the year after. But we're aiming to do that. I'm excited that we have the opportunity to try.
There appeared to be a desire this session to ease regulations to aid job growth. When looking back, will this session be one that businesses will appreciate?
Well, the tax structure that we changed will help businesses. The roads and bridges that we're going to fund now will help roads and bridges. We did some reforms on education, getting more of the best teachers in front of the students, which will help create the people that they're going to have employees for jobs. So I would say overall they would say it was a very good year. Regulations is something we're always going to have to look at, both federally and on a state level. I feel like we could do a lot more there. Just one example, Polymet, it's the copper nickel mine, and I think it's been over 15 years of permitting to actually do what they want to do. There was somebody in the Historical Society that was actually holding up that permit, and so the governor, the House and Senate agreed that we needed to change that little thing and move it into some other area so that there was more accountability and more freedom to flow as far as getting permits done. So simple things like that we're working on, but they're harder to do than people can imagine.
Last question. If you erase the final squabble here at the end, how would you rate this legislative session? Was there good bipartisan compromise?
Absolutely was. And I would say, I told the governor, we all should be taking a victory lap about what we did, because it was Republicans in the House and Senate, but the governor signed on to those bills. And so we had reforms in education with over $1 billion of new funding. Roads and bridges got done, Real ID got done, tax relief got done. I mean, everywhere you looked, something good happened for Minnesota. And so that would be something we should all be proud of. I hope it's just a hiccup. I think we'll get through it. But we showed that bipartisan efforts really can make a difference.
Senator Gazelka, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
You bet.